Title: Mountain Hike Isolation. The day began with a radiant sun hanging low on the horizon, casting a warm golden glow on the mountain peaks. I embarked on a solo hiking adventure, seeking solitude in connection with nature. The trail promised breathtaking views, winding through dense forests and ascending to heights untouched by the noise of civilization. Little did I know that this picturesque journey would evolve into a harrowing tale of isolation and fear. The trailhead greeted me with a wooden sign, weathered by time and adorned with faded paint. Mount Serenity Trail, it declared, luring me into the heart of the wilderness. The air was crisp, filled with the earthy scent of pine, as I stepped onto the narrow path that disappeared into the shadows of the towering trees. For hours, I traversed the serpentine trail, each step pulling me deeper into the embrace of solitude. The forest seemed alive with whispers, rustling leaves, creaking branches, and the distant calls of unseen creatures. The symphony of nature was my only companion, and I reveled in the simplicity of the journey. As the sun began its descent, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink, I realized the trail had become steeper, more treacherous. My surroundings transformed into a dense thicket, with the trees standing like silent sentinels guarding the secrets hidden within the shadows. The air grew cooler, and a sense of isolation settled upon me like a heavy cloak. In my solitude, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching me from the depths of the forest. A peculiar hush enveloped the woods, as if nature itself held its breath in anticipation. I quickened my pace, dismissing the unease as a product of my imagination. The trail wound its way higher, and the world below became a mosaic of dark greens and rich browns. The higher I climbed, the more isolated I felt. There were no signs of fellow hikers, no comforting laughter, only the rhythmic crunch of my footsteps on the gravel-strewn path. As darkness encroached, I realized I had underestimated the length of the trail. Panic fluttered within me like a trapped bird. I checked my phone for a signal, hoping to find my bearings, but the screen mocked me with a complete lack of bars. The isolation deepened, and the forest, once a haven, became an ominous labyrinth. With no other choice, I pressed on, guided only by the dim light of my flashlight. The trees closed in around me, their branches clawing at the night sky like skeletal fingers. The trail, now barely discernible, seemed to vanish into the black void ahead. An unsettling stillness settled upon the mountain, broken only by the crunch of my boots on the rocky path. It was then that I heard it, the echo of footsteps that mirrored mine. I halted, my breath catching in my throat. The sound persisted, an eerie mimicry that sent shivers down my spine. "Hello?" I called out into the darkness, my voice swallowed by the oppressive silence. The echo continued, each step replicated with unsettling precision. Fear crawled through my veins like icy tendrils, urging me to retreat. But where could I retreat to in this desolate expanse? I stumbled forward, determined to escape the unseen entity mimicking my every move. The trail twisted and turned, the forest closing in around me like a sentient force. The echo persisted, growing louder and more distinct. Panic clawed at the edges of my mind as I grappled with the inexplicable phenomenon. The trail abruptly opened into a small clearing, and there, beneath the eerie glow of the moon, I saw him, a silhouette mirroring my own. The figure stood at the edge of the clearing, unmoving, like a specter summoned by the mountain itself. "Who are you?" I shouted, my voice quivering with a mix of fear and confusion. The figure remained silent, its form barely illuminated by the pale moonlight. I cautiously approached, my flashlight revealing a faceless void beneath the hood of a tattered cloak. My heart raced as I circled the figure, desperately seeking any sign of humanity. The echo of footsteps persisted, creating a disorienting symphony of sound. In the hallowed eyes of the figure, I glimpsed a reflection of my own terror. With a sudden, bone-chilling realization, I understood, I was not alone on this mountain. The spectral figure mirrored not just my physical form but seemed to draw from the depths of my own fears and solitude. A surge of adrenaline propelled me backward, my flashlight flickering in the oppressive darkness. I stumbled through the forest, the echo following my every move. The trail became a maze, and the mountain itself seemed to conspire against me, leading me deeper into the web of isolation. Hours passed, but time felt distorted in the mountain's grip. The echo, a relentless companion, whispered through the rustling leaves and swaying branches. My surroundings blurred into a nightmarish collage of gnarled trees and shadowy figures that danced at the periphery of my vision. Exhaustion clung to me like a second skin, and my legs threatened to give way beneath the weight of fear. As I stumbled through the suffocating darkness, a feeble glimmer caught my eye. A distant light flickered like a beacon, offering a glimmer of hope in the desolate night. Summoning the last reserves of my strength, I followed the flickering light through the labyrinthine forest. The echo persisted, a haunting reminder of the solitude that clung to me like a curse. The light grew brighter, illuminating the twisted branches and tangled underbrush. Finally, the trail opened into a small clearing, and I beheld a dilapidated cabin bathed in the flickering glow of a solitary lantern. Relief washed over me as I approached the sanctuary, the echo gradually fading into the background. The door creaked open, revealing the interior of the cabin, a refuge from the isolation that had ensnared me on the mountain. The air inside carried the scent of aged wood, and a crackling fire provided a welcome warmth. A figure sat in the corner, shrouded in shadows. "Welcome," the figure spoke, its voice a low, resonant echo. "I've been waiting for you." I hesitated, the memories of the spectral figure still fresh in my mind. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice trembling. The figure emerged from the shadows, revealing a face obscured by the hood of a cloak. "I am the keeper of this mountain, bound to its solitude. You sought isolation, and so you found me." The cabin's walls seemed to close in around me as realization dawned. The mountain itself had conjured the echo, a manifestation of my deepest fears and yearnings for solitude. I had become entangled in a spectral dance with a force beyond comprehension. "You cannot escape the mountain's embrace," the keeper intoned. "It feeds on the echoes of solitude, drawing wanderers into its timeless depths." The truth settled over me like a heavy shroud. The isolation I had sought had become a malevolent force, twisting the very fabric of reality. The echoes persisted, whispering through the cracks in the cabin walls. As the keeper spoke of the mountain's insatiable hunger for solitude, I realized the only way to break free was to confront the echo within myself. The mountain demanded a sacrifice, my fear, my loneliness, my desire for isolation. With newfound determination, I stepped out into the night, facing the unforgiving darkness that stretched beyond the cabin walls. The echo resounded, a symphony of solitude that threatened to engulf me. "I am not afraid," I declared, my voice cutting through the oppressive silence. "I am not alone." As the words echoed through the mountain, the spectral figures that had haunted me dissipated into the night. The forest no longer whispered with a malevolent intent, and the trail ahead revealed itself, leading me away from the heart of the mountain. I descended from the heights, the echo gradually fading into the distance. The isolation that had gripped me released its hold, and the world outside the mountain welcomed me with open arms. The dawn painted the sky in hues of pink and gold as I emerged from the shadows of Mount Serenity. The trailhead, once an ominous portal, now marked the threshold between solitude and the embrace of the world beyond. The echoes of my harrowing journey lingered, a reminder of the mountain's mystical depths. I carried the lessons of that night, a testament to the thin line between the solace of solitude and the haunting echoes that can transform it into a nightmare. Title: Whispers in the Abyss. The desolate mountain range stretched before me, a rugged landscape of jagged peaks and steep cliffs that seemed to pierce the heavens. Intrigued by tales of an ancient monastery hidden deep within these formidable heights, I embarked on a solitary journey, seeking enlightenment and spiritual solace. The trail, a thin ribbon of dirt worn into the mountainside, wended its way upward, cutting through dense pine forests that whispered with the secrets of centuries past. The air was thin, and the scent of pine needles hung heavy as I ascended into the isolation of the towering peaks. Hours turned to days as I delved deeper into the heart of the mountains. The echoes of my own footsteps were the only company I had, and the solitude became palpable, a weight on my shoulders that grew heavier with every step. The trail led me to a narrow pass flanked by two towering cliffs that seemed to touch the sky. As I entered the ominous gorge, a sense of foreboding settled over me. The wind howled through the narrow chasm, carrying with it whispers that danced on the edge of my perception. At the end of the gorge stood the entrance to the hidden monastery, its weathered stone walls adorned with faded carvings. The massive wooden door creaked open as if welcoming a weary traveler. I stepped into the courtyard, the silence within the monastery's walls a stark contrast to the howling winds outside. The atmosphere was thick with ancient energy, and the shadows seemed to hold the weight of untold stories. The air vibrated with an unseen force, and I felt the eyes of unseen entities upon me. My every movement echoed through the cavernous halls, as if disturbing the long-forgotten slumber of the monastery. As night descended, I lit a single candle in a small chamber adorned with religious artifacts. The flickering flame cast dancing shadows on the stone walls, and the air took on an ethereal quality. The monastery seemed to come alive with a subtle hum, as if the very stones held the memories of those who had sought refuge here. A strange compulsion drew me to a hidden chamber at the heart of the monastery. The door, covered in intricate carvings, groaned as I pushed it open. The room was devoid of light, and the only sound was the hushed breath of the mountain wind seeping through the cracks. In the center of the chamber stood an ancient altar, bathed in an otherworldly glow. Symbols and runes adorned the walls, and the air shimmered with an energy that transcended the physical realm. As I approached the altar, a cold breeze brushed against my skin, carrying with it whispers that seemed to emanate from the very stones. Seeker of truths, the whispers echoed, their voices a chorus of distant murmurs. You stand at the precipice of the abyss, where enlightenment and darkness converge. A chill ran down my spine as I felt the weight of unseen eyes upon me. The whispers spoke of the monks who once inhabited these sacred halls, seekers of knowledge who delved too deep into the mysteries of the universe. Their quest for enlightenment had led them to the edge of the abyss, where they vanished into the shadows, their spirits forever bound to the monastery. As I listened to the haunting tales, the very fabric of reality seemed to warp around me. The boundaries between the physical and the spiritual blurred, and the monastery became a vessel for the echoes of lost souls. In the flickering candlelight, I glimpsed ghostly figures moving through the chamber, a spectral congregation trapped between the realms of the living and the dead. The monks, their faces obscured by hooded robes, chanted in a language both ancient and otherworldly. Free us from the abyss, the whispers implored. Break the shackles that bind us. A surge of fear and empathy overwhelmed me as I realized the gravity of the monks' plight. Bound to the monastery, they yearned for release from the eternal limbo that held them captive. The ancient altar, its surface etched with cryptic symbols, seemed to beckon me to partake in a ritual that could bridge the gap between the living and the dead. Compelled by a force beyond my understanding, I reached out to the altar. The moment my fingertips grazed its surface, the chamber erupted in a blinding light. The whispers crescendoed into a deafening chorus, and the spectral figures surrounded me, their ethereal forms merging with the shadows. The monastery quaked as if caught in the throes of an otherworldly storm. The very fabric of reality trembled, and the boundaries between the physical and the spiritual shattered like fragile glass. In that fleeting moment, I glimpsed the vast abyss that lurked beyond the veil of perception, a chasm that held the souls of the monks in its insatiable grasp. As the echoes of the ritual subsided, the monastery fell into an eerie silence. The spectral figures had vanished, leaving behind only the faint traces of their presence. The chamber, once alive with energy, now felt hollow and still. I stood alone in the darkness, the weight of the encounter settling upon me. The very essence of the monastery seemed to sigh, as if the spirits of the monks had found solace in the void beyond. With a heavy heart, I retraced my steps through the echoing halls of the monastery. The mountain wind outside had ceased its howling, and the night was silent, as if the very earth held its breath in the aftermath of the ritual. As I emerged from the gorge, the first light of dawn painted the sky in hues of pink and gold. The desolate mountain range, once a formidable fortress of solitude, now bore the scars of a spiritual journey that transcended the boundaries of the living. The trail led me downward, away from the ancient monastery, and the echoes of whispers faded into the distance. The isolation that had clung to the mountain had transformed into a profound connection with forces beyond comprehension. As I descended from the heights, the world outside the mountain embraced me with open arms. The echoes of the spectral monastery lingered in the recesses of my mind, a testament to the thin line between enlightenment and the abyss that awaits those who seek truths hidden in the shadows. Title: Crimson Isolation. The invitation to the remote mountain lodge arrived like an echo from the past, a forgotten promise that I couldn't resist. The crimson-hued envelope bore no return address, only an elaborate wax seal that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. Intrigued by the mystery and the allure of isolation, I embarked on a journey into the heart of the mountains. The winding mountain roads led me to the lodge, perched on the edge of a precipice, its silhouette framed by the dying embers of the sunset. The air was thick with an unsettling stillness as I stepped through the creaking front door, a portal to a world frozen in time. The lodge's interior was a tapestry of faded grandeur, adorned with antique furniture and weathered tapestries that whispered of bygone eras. The air held a faint scent of aged wood, and the only sound was the crackling of the fireplace, casting dancing shadows across the walls. I settled into my room, its crimson-themed decor creating an ambience of both opulence and isolation. The window overlooked a dense forest that clung to the mountainside like a cloak of shadows. As night descended, the lodge seemed to awaken with a life of its own, the air charged with a subtle energy that sent shivers down my spine. The first night passed in a restless haze. Sleep eluded me, and the haunting echoes of unfamiliar whispers danced on the edge of my consciousness. A strange compulsion led me to explore the lodge's labyrinthine corridors, each step unveiling hidden corners and secret passages. In the heart of the lodge, I discovered a grand hall bathed in crimson light. The walls were adorned with portraits of long-forgotten guests, their eyes following my every move with an eerie intensity. At the center of the hall stood a grand staircase, its steps worn by the footsteps of countless souls who had sought refuge in the isolation of the mountains. As I ascended the staircase, a distant murmur beckoned me toward a half-open door. The room beyond seemed to pulse with a crimson glow that defied the laws of natural light. Hesitant but driven by an unseen force, I entered a chamber steeped in an otherworldly ambience. At the center of the room lay an ornate crimson carpet, its intricate patterns twisting like serpents in a hypnotic dance. The walls were adorned with strange symbols, seemingly etched in blood. At the far end of the room, a figure shrouded in a crimson robe stood facing a massive mirror. The figure turned, revealing a mask adorned with intricate patterns and a single dark void where its face should have been. A voice, neither male nor female, resonated through the room like a distant chant. "Welcome, seeker of the crimson isolation. You stand at the nexus of time, where past and future converge." The figure beckoned me closer, and as I approached, the mirror seemed to ripple with unseen energy. Reflections danced on its surface, each image a glimpse into moments that defied the laws of reality. Faces of those who had once sought refuge in the lodge appeared and vanished like fleeting shadows. Through the mirror, witnessed the echoes of isolation, the figure intoned, its voice a haunting melody. The lodge cradles the memories of those who embraced the crimson solitude, bound by the threads of time. As the mirror's reflections unfolded, I glimpsed scenes of joy and despair, each tale interwoven with the isolation that clung to the lodge. The crimson carpet beneath my feet seemed to absorb the echoes of long-forgotten laughter and the silent tears of those who had sought solace in the mountains. The figure raised its hand, and the mirror revealed a vision of a distant future, a tapestry of threads converging toward an ominous climax. Shadows danced across the walls, and the lodge itself seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy. As the vision subsided, the figure turned toward the mirror, its mask betraying no emotion. "Seeker of the crimson isolation, the lodge demands a sacrifice, a choice that will echo through time." A profound sense of unease settled within me as the figure gestured toward the mirror. The reflections twisted into a kaleidoscope of possibilities, each path leading toward an unknown destiny. The lodge, a vessel of isolation and time, awaited my decision. Torn between the allure of the crimson solitude and the ominous threads of the future, I hesitated. The figure, an enigma draped in crimson, watched as the threads of my fate unraveled before me. As I stood at the nexus of time, the lodge's echoes beckoned me toward a choice that would resonate through the ages. The crimson isolation, a seductive embrace, held the key to a destiny intertwined with the mountains themselves. In the heart of the lodge, where past and future converged, I faced the enigmatic figure, the mirror reflecting the crossroads of isolation and destiny. The air pulsed with unseen energy, and the lodge's crimson hues seemed to deepen, casting a spell that bound me to the threads of time.